Easy Sports Talk Show, Javon Adams and Ed Smith. I am an MC, an entrepreneur. I hang out with cool people like my co-host here, and then also, and he is Ed Smith, and he is a former professional baseball player. Also played on that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons, and he is a motivational speaker and an author. What's good, my brother?
Happy Friday to you, man. We made it through another one. Getting ready for the weekend. We work. People don't know how hard we work, man. I mean, seriously. we put it in each week.
Man, yeah, we definitely do. I've always meant to ask you this. So before we get into it, we got a great show lined up for you. We're going to talk some Diamondbacks and some MLB playoffs and some Arizona Cardinals football. Have you ever thought about writing another book, not necessarily from an autobiographical perspective, but maybe a different type of book, or just another book in general?
I have been encouraged to do it. It'll be, I think at some point I probably will. Okay. I got my mind is always working, man. My mom, but my biggest fan is actually my mom. She keeps telling me I need to write like a mystery novel or something like that. But I'll tell you a couple ideas I have. One of them. A couple of them are pretty interesting. I'll bounce some stuff off you. Maybe one of these days I'll actually start the process of doing it. Here's the problem though. When I write, I mean, like, some people are like weekend writers, and when I write, man, it's like a job for me. I just do it. That's why I don't think I've done another one to this point, because it takes time. I don't have. But remember when I started writing the first one, it was many, many years ago, when I was kind of just finishing with sports, still had off season kind of. I ain't no off season now. I don't have that kind of time. So one of these days I will.
And for those who are maybe new to the program, I'm talking about Ed's book, Easy Does It, The Journey of a Lifetime. You can go to edsmithspeaks.com, edsmithspeaks.com, and you can order it there. You can get you can find it on Amazon as well. But if you want to get an autographed copy and all that stuff, and make sure you go to edsmithspeaks.com. So we do this thing 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We talk sports. We're from the Phoenix metropolitan area, so we focus on some local things, but we also zoom out to things that are going on nationally. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the podcast, you can go to easysportstalk.com. That's easysportstalk.com. We also have a podcast that covers the Arizona Cardinals. It's called Believe in the Arizona Cardinals. Again, that's Believe in the Arizona Cardinals, BLEAV. That drops every Monday and Thursday. This week we dropped it on Friday. So if you're listening to this on Friday, why don't you get a double dose of us and go ahead and check that out. And then we do our terrestrial radio show on Saturdays, and that is 1 to 3 Eastern. That is on SportsMap Radio. So sportsmapradio.com if you're not in one of the 98 markets that we're in, and you can hit the little play icon in the upper right corner, or download the app for your mobile, for your Android or Apple device. And so that's kind of how my oldest son, he stays in touch with what we got going on based on in terms of on Saturday, since he's in a market where we're not on the terrestrial radio. So he lets me know different things. So but stay connected with us in some way, shape, or form. easysportstalk.com. So let's start with some baseball, man. We had a game 3 with the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was a sweep, man. It was a sweep. I watched that game. It was packed. It was sold out. And if you're tripping about why am I mentioning that it was sold out, because we don't get many sellouts at Chase Field. We don't get many sellouts, so that was really cool to see that. A lot of Dodger fans in the building, but a lot of Diamondback fans in the building, whether they're bandwagon. And I heard somebody mention this recently over the airwaves. Being a bandwagon is not a bad thing, as long as you don't jump off at the first sign of a little bit of trouble. You jump on the bandwagon anytime you want. Just stay for a little while if you're going to jump on it. But your thoughts on that game, because the Arizona Cardinals are now in the NLCS National League Championship Series, so one series away from getting back to the World Series. Haven't been there in forever and ever in a day. But your thoughts on that game, because I was watching it. My youngest son was in his room. He was watching it, clapping. Dad, you watching? So you're just kind of take a quick look back on that series and that game more specifically.
Well, overall for the series, the Diamondbacks, they dominated the Dodgers, and so far undefeated in the postseason. I know it's a small sample because 3 at best of 5 and a best of 3 series, but they are now 5-0 in the postseason, playing your best baseball when you're hoping to be playing it, not in April and May or June, but in October now. And that's, they won the game 3 the way that they have not won all year, by being a basher. Meaning during the regular season, I think they were one of the lowest home run total hitting teams. And then you go back to back to back and almost back to back to back to back 4 in 1 inning for your only 4 runs. But it was that your pitching staff also did enough to hold the mighty Dodgers down for that 3-game series, especially in that last game, win that one 4-2. And as you mentioned, the stands, man, it was great. We haven't seen that stadium, that crunk, since we were there in 2017 when they made the divisional or whatever it was. I think they played the Dodgers, and I remember we were all there covering it. It was an exciting scene. This was, like I said, something we haven't seen in a while, and I think the thing that is most cool about it, it was unexpected. We did not think the Diamondbacks would be in this situation, and to sweep the Dodgers, that just, talk about cherry on top of the pie. That was unbelievable. So I, like you, watched every pitch. Actually sent a message to Torrey after both, when they clinched in Milwaukee, and I'm a superstitious kind of dude. So after they won this one, I sent him a text again. And the cool thing, I'm sitting there with my mom yesterday because I had to pick Quentin up from early dismissal yesterday because they're doing parent-teacher conferences this week. So I was like, I hadn't seen my mom in a week and a half. So I took her down during the day, and we're talking Diamondbacks. My phone goes off. I'm like, oh, speaking of the devil. Torrey sent me a message back thanking me for the support. So, like I said, and here's the thing. I'll say it again. Diamondbacks, anybody listening from the front office, you need to be ashamed of yourself for this man being on a 1-year contract. Right now, he is technically, after the season's over, his contract is up. What are they thinking, Jay? Torrey should be locked up for the next 5 at least. You don't want this man to leave this organization, but you're flirting with it. You're flirting. Like, what if a team, one of them highfalutin teams, said, you know what? He's not even under contract with them right now. Let's go ahead and throw multi-year deal at him to see if he'll come over here and he could actually do it, because you guys don't have him under contract after this season. Shame on you, Diamondbacks. But congratulations to the players and the manager and all his coaches.
Indeed. So they're going to be facing the Philadelphia Phillies. It's interesting when you look at this, and it's been well documented. And this is one of the things that I think the media does a poor job of, is when you have teams that are flying so high and then they're eliminated from the playoffs, teams in this case, then we're focusing on the teams that aren't there as opposed to the teams that are there. And I think that does a disservice to the teams that have advanced. But 300 win teams that are out of the playoffs. So you got the Baltimore Orioles, you have the Dodgers, and of course you have the Atlanta Braves. But the teams that are left, we got the Astros, you got the Rangers, you have the Phillies, and you have the Diamondbacks. How do you see this? The concern for me with the Phillies is the pressure of being in that Philadelphia area. Is a different type of it's pressure. As you keep going on, the pressure is there. So if you're oblivious to it, then great. But there is additional pressure from those fans, and just the energy that comes that has been talked about the last couple of days in advance of possibly this series being that opponent being solidified. The pressure that comes with that fan base. But I'm a little concerned about the games 2 and games 3, how the bats were quiet after having a big inning. Then all of a sudden they were quiet. Is that much ado about nothing? Or it seems that they may need to go back to playing that small ball, for lack of a better term, that they were doing during the season, as they were gritty, as they're trying to maybe morph into what they need to be to maybe make it to the World Series.
Yeah, I do think they need to get back to that. And the good thing, your good teams win in all types of different ways. They don't just use the big fly. They don't just use the small ball. You'd like to have a combination. The thing that worries me a little bit is all the runs came in that one particular inning. Didn't score anymore after that. What I'd like to see, and here's the thing, to play small ball, you got to get the guys on the bases. And then you can cause the havoc. Now pitchers have to worry about, you stealing bases. You can do your hit and runs, different things like that, but you can't do it if guys aren't on the base path. So that's the part that's worrying me.
There were a couple of times in game 2 and game 3 where they had bases loaded and they weren't able to push runners through. That's, being that timely hitting also has to be top of mind as well.
Absolutely, yeah. But the good thing is they are playing their best ball, and it's a small sample size because it was only 3 games against the Dodgers. Think about what they did in that first game, though. We're forgetting because game 3 was a 4-2. You scored all your runs in 1 inning. Think about what they did in that first game against the Dodgers, against Kershaw. That's perfect baseball. They were hitting the ball all over the field, and they were spraying it. I mean, they were running, taking extra bases. If you could clone that first game against the Dodgers, that's perfection as far as your pitching or hitting. If you can do that, now you're not going to beat the ball up like that every game, but just a small portion of that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe whatever your average. You want to get a target of 6 to 7 runs. Each game if you can. That's probably it's probably a little too. That's thinking too big, but that should be your goal, to get base runners on, cause stress for these pitchers.
Right.
That's a new thing as you get them on, get runners on, and now with the stolen base back in the game, they have to concentrate on that more. They're pitching out of the stretch. You're taking extra bases when you get balls in the gaps, those type of things. That's what you want. But the good thing is they showed signs of winning all kind of different ways. Because you got to remember, not only did they hit the ball over the place, they held that Dodgers lineup in check, which is going to be a whole lot tougher against Philly, because Philly really is. It's interesting. Both Philly and the Diamondbacks are playing the same kind of brand of ball right now. They're hitting it all over the place, running the other team out of the park. Their pitching, Philly's pitching might be a little stronger than ours. So this is, and then we're catching them. We caught the Dodgers sleeping, bro. And that's partly because of the format and everything. They had a week off. All of a sudden we come in there hot after, sweeping the Brewers. And we caught the Dodgers sleep at the wheel. We're not going to be able to do that against the Phillies. This is going to be an entirely different series, and we're going to have to win this. This is going to be one of those series we're going to have to match their bats. So we might have some games where their final score 8-7, 9-8. We're also looking at, if we have a pitching duel or 2 mixed in there, because you got to remember these next series are 7-game series. So these could go long. We might have a couple 2-1s and 3-2s and stuff like that. So we're going to have to win all kind of different ways in this series, if we're going to try to get to this get to the grand prize of the World Series. But a great series, great opponent ahead, and these Diamondbacks are flying high. They think they can beat anybody, especially after beating the Dodgers. So, it'll be interesting to see how the first couple games go over there in Philly.
Indeed. So easy.
One last thing, Jay.
Yes, sir.
I hate, and I know it's all scheduling and stuff like that, but I hate the fact that we win yesterday, we won
on
Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, yep.
Not playing again until Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another one of those breaks because of the schedule. Both teams wrapped everything up, but now we're not. I think we're not playing until Monday.
Until Monday, yep.
Yeah.
Until Monday, yeah. And that's one of those. It's television being king in the inventory of television. So that's where it rears its ugly head for sure. So Easy Sports Talk Show. Ed Smith, Javon Adams. All right. Cardinals go to Los Angeles. They're traveling to Los Angeles to play the Los Angeles Rams. We talked about it a little bit on our Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast. So Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast. But let's bring this to me here. When it comes to, we know that James Conner is out. He's been put on the IR. Young running backs have to step up. How do the Cardinals win this game? But then also, what does it mean when you have an established player, a running back? Because some of the hidden things that a running back can do that leaves shoes to be filled for these young running backs. What is it? Keontae Ingram and DeMarcado that are coming in and having to do that. So what does that mean? And then how do you see if the Cardinals are going to win? What do they need to do?
Well, all running backs aren't built the same. Every team has their faction of, that fits their style. Connor, for the last few years here in Arizona, he's been our battering ram. And we, up to this point, we haven't used him, I think, properly, meaning the Kingsbury system had a lot of, pistol, this read option. I hated that for Connor because he's
Hmm.
more of a downhill type of dude. And
Yeah.
I think with Petzing coming in here, it's been more of a downhill running scheme. And I think we've seen Connor be more physical. And, the part of being more physical is you're exposing yourself. He got that knee hurt, so he's going to miss some games. The problem for a running back like Connor, meaning for the Cardinals, filling that hole, you don't have another one of him. He's your style battering ram downhill. You'd like to have a backup that's similar to him so you can fit him into, like taking that spare piece and putting it right in to the offense. You don't have that now. So now you're going to have to be a little more creative because we don't have a dude that you can get 7 yards back there in, quarterback under the center, run some power, and think he's going, because the Cardinals, it's crucial for them to be ahead of the sticks. We've seen we can't play from behind. We're not a team has enough firepower to either come from behind, or play without a running game. We need that running game. First downs, we need to be picking up 3 and 4 yards to make it easier for Josh Dobbs. You don't want him playing behind the sticks. And we use that term all the time. Playing behind the sticks is you get the third down and it's the 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. Those long distance downs to pick up the first down. Why is that so important? Because we need to possess this ball. Too many of these games so far, Jay, we've had 45, not even 50 plays in a game. We're exposing ourselves to our defense. You can't have them out there on the field that much time.
Right.
We going to shut down defense. They're going to eventually tire, get beat down. The other thing is we need the ball. We need to, shorten the game. Make it where, because, we're not going to be out there scoring 30 points a game like San Francisco. We're going to win some of these games ugly in the high teens, early, low 20s. Can't do that if you're 3 and out all the time and giving the other team the ball. So minus Connor, it changes our entire game plan. I don't know how you overcome it because now you're going to have to get really creative with the run game against a defensive front with Aaron Donald in the middle of it. So you probably weren't going to have much success anyway running the ball, but you still have to do it to keep them honest. We might have to pick on those edges a little more. With that being said, man, we need to be picking up some yards on those first downs. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of 3rd and pluses, and that's going to lead to disaster for this team. But minus Connor, that people don't realize how huge a loss that is for the Cardinals.
So who you got in this game? I think when we talk, I got 27. I got 27-24 Los Angeles.
I got 27-19, one of those funky 19s. And I think they keep it close, but in the end, the Rams just have too much offense, especially getting Cooper Kupp back. And they're still working on some things too. They're 2-3, so it's not like they're dominating everybody. But I do think, and the other thing we have to look at the coaching matchup, Gannon versus McVay. McVay, that they call him a genius. He's not a genius, but he's close to it as far as offensive football. So it'll be a good matchup between the two of them. But I do think coaching matchup they win. On the field, they've got more talent. I think we hang in there, but we just don't have enough to win this game.
All right. Easy Sports Talk Show, Ed Smith, Javon Adams. So leave me with this. Came across something on awfulannouncing.com. So last night, Steve Smith Sr. he took umbrage to he has a podcast. So he former NFL player, but also was on the NFL Network, and so doing the pregame. And so he has a podcast where he, as often happens with podcasts, you're critical about certain things. In this case, he was critical about some certain players that maybe haven't lived up to their potential. And one of those being Jerry Jeudy, who is starting wide receiver for the Denver Broncos. So Jerry Jeudy. So Steve Smith Sr. sees Jerry Jeudy. He wants to kind of acknowledge, hey, I've said some things about you, and be a stand-up. So when he sees him, be face to face with him. And Jerry Jeudy essentially says, you can kick rocks. Essentially, I don't mess with you. I don't associate with you. Forget that. So instead of being professional in that space, Steve Smith Sr. proceeded to air him out, as Steve Smith Sr. is that type of dude anyway. When he played, he was very fiery and never really bit his tongue. But what the question that I want to ask for you is, when you're behind the microphone, when you're in that type of role, when do you cross the line? When is it okay to cross the line? I've seen Stephen A. Smith take things personal and get on folks. It seems as if that line over the last maybe 5-6 years has really gotten blurred, and so sometimes the talking heads are using their pulpit to blast athletes in that way. How do you feel about that? Am I just blowing this out of proportion?
No, you're spot on. And the problem is, Jay, we're getting to a point now where a lot of our media, dudes covering some of these games, analysts, rightfully so, they're former players. We're getting more and more into that. And we got to remember, sometimes these former players, they don't have a lot of training when it comes to what they're doing now. Steve Smith, great athlete, all of a sudden now post-career, he's got a podcast. Hey, let's put him on our show. He's not an experienced journalist. And when I say that, I'm not taking shots. I'm just saying that, former players sometimes forget where they came from. Imagine if somebody had said what Steve said about him, right? And then Steve, we know how fiery he was. Imagine him being on the field and somebody coming over to, hey, I just want to let you know I said something, but, I still got you. Steve would have blessed him to high heaven, right?
Right.
So let's not be hypocritical. You're in the media now. Yes, you have every right to say what you think, say it with your chest. I'm all about it. But you can't expect players that are in the position you used to be in to now all of a sudden, hey, it's all good, that type of thing. So when it gets thrown back in your face like that, it is your obligation and your duty in media. You now can't take it personal. And you can't take it to the next level. And all of a sudden now you want to talk like you're on your podcast, but you're talking to the world. And we saw Steve got exposed that he was the one who got caught up in his feelings even more than Jerry Jeudy.
Man.
So, like I said, you got to remember, like I said, you're in the media now. You can say stuff, but you also have to be ready for the reactions. And then you can't get caught up in your feelings with your response. So that's a case where Steve, he crossed the line. He has every right to say what he wanted to say on his podcast. You have every right to try to apologize, but you don't have the right then to get caught up in your feelings in front of everybody and lose your cool. But, he won't see it that way. But I see it as, he had every right to say what he initially said, did not have the right to blast Jeudy on the backside because he felt like he was disrespected in the, with the response.
Yeah, it is a fine line that you got to walk. It's almost similar to being, let's say, if you were frontline in the organization and then you go to management, whether it's middle or upper, the way in which you blast somebody, you got to do it a little bit more with a little more finesse. you have to take some of those arrows instead of always being the one to turn around and fire them right back. So it is a fine line that you walk for sure. All right, so
I was going to say real quick, me and I sometimes do it tongue in cheek, but I take my shots at certain players. Say if I bumped into them in an event and just say by chance they say, yeah, I heard you were talking about me. I'll be like, yeah, this is how I feel. Well, you can't back down from it. But like I said, at the same time, you also have to be respectful with what we do, with how we approach it. I'm a former player, and I know there's certain things that I would not like somebody saying about me, and I would probably react like Jeudy did, but because we're now behind the mic, I also have to remember I'm representing as a media, personality now. So
right, indeed. So that's Ed Smith. I am Javon Adams. We do this 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The Easy Sports Talk Show podcast. You just search Easy Sports Talk Show, and however you got this, make sure you share, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Maybe you go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and subscribe and sign up for the newsletter. All those things so you can be made aware on EasySportsTalk.com when a new episode comes out. But then also we have our Believe in the Arizona Cardinals podcast. That's every Monday and Thursday. You can go to Believe.com. You can actually go to Easy Sports Talk, EasySportsTalk.com as well. And you'll find it there as well. So there's a tab that says Believe in the Arizona Cardinals where you can listen to the show. And then every Saturday from 1 to 3 Eastern, we are on terrestrial radio, Sports Map Radio. So go to sportsmapradio.com if you're not in one of the 98 markets that we're in, and click on the in the upper right corner, the little blue, the play icon, and then, or you can download the app for your Android or mobile device. And so, on behalf of my man, Ed Easy Smith, I am Javon Adams. And as we always like to say around this time, yes, sir.
Real quick, I just wanted to. Yesterday found out that I lost my high school football coach, Coach Mack. I come from a small town, Pemberton High School, back there in Browns Mills, Pemberton area, and everybody back home, they're feeling it now because he was one of those dudes. Think about how long I've been out of high school.
Yeah.
He coached me in the 80s, coached that dudes in the 70s, and we're all kind of feeling that hurt because we lost Coach Mack. And I just wanted to say rest in peace, Coach. And, to all our people, he meant a lot to us. And he lived a good life, but he was a good man. And there's a whole lot of us that owe him a whole lot.
Well, rest in peace for sure. Rest in peace for sure. And so until we see you on Monday, unless you check in with us on Saturday, which you should definitely do to make your Saturday better, you can.